Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about security. And it's called part two because a couple of years ago I did part one. So here in this lesson, I will help you learn some new English words and phrases that you can use to talk about security. Security happens in a lot of different forms. There's like serious security at the airport. There's usually a security guard at the mall. Security is something we all take very seriously so that we can be safe when we are out in public. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about security, part two. Security. So this lesson is about security, and we use the word security in a lot of ways. If you go to hear someone speak or give a speech, there might be a lot of security. So we just use the term to refer to the people who are there to keep everyone safe. When you're at the shopping mall, you can go to security to ask a question. In that sense, we're talking about a place. There's usually a desk at a mall where there is a security officer or a security guard. So we use this word in a couple of different ways. Like, I guess it's the general term that we use to refer to the people who keep us safe, not police officers. This is more like security guards and those types of people, but the people who keep us safe when we are at different locations in the world, or it's referred to as a place. If you're at a concert and you lose your keys, you might go and check at security to see if someone has found them. So security, kind of a general term to refer to the people who keep us safe, or the place, the desk where they work from. A badge. So in order for us to trust people, they need to have identification, or they need to have things that make us understand that they are who they say they are. One of those things is a badge. In North America, and I think in every police department in the world, the police officer will have a badge, and the badge will have might have their name on it, but I think it just has their badge number usually. A security guard may also have a badge. So a badge is a small metal, we might call it something like I'm just going to call it a badge. It will pin onto your shirt or jacket, and it's hard to duplicate. So it's usually real. If it's like a solid metal badge and has the name of the police department on it, you will know that it's a real police officer. So a badge, basically a metal badge that allows you to trust that the person who has the badge is actually a security guard or police officer. Yes, a badge. An ID card. So an ID card is something that you wear when you are in a building so that people know who you are. It might also be something you simply carry in your pocket or in your wallet or in your purse that you might have to show to someone if they ask for it. If you work for a large company, like if you worked for Google or Microsoft, you would probably have to wear your ID card on a lanyard around your neck and have it with you all the time. Because once a place of business gets too big, not everyone knows each other. And so you need an ID card, an official ID card, so people know that you work there. I have an ID card at school. At my school, we don't have to wear our ID cards, but if our school was a bit bigger, at some point we would need to. Like right now, we all know who works there and who is a stranger, so we don't have to wear one. But when I worked in a larger school, when I was learning to be a teacher, I had to wear my ID card at that school. Metal detector. So depending on where you go, you might have to go through a metal detector. So we usually use that verb, you go through a metal detector. So this man is going through a metal detector. It might be at the airport. When Jen and I go to watch a baseball game, when we go to see the Toronto Blue Jays, we have to go through a metal detector when we enter the stadium. So a metal detector, of course, detects metal, and it is used at a security checkpoint to make sure you're not bringing in anything dangerous or anything that you could use for bad purposes. So metal detector, something that detects metal, you have to walk through or go through the metal detector, and commonly found at airports or any kind of event where there's going to be thousands of people, there will usually be a metal detector that you need to go through. Key card. So your ID card might be your key card, but a key card is a card used to unlock a door. So instead of using an old-fashioned key to unlock a hotel room door, they will now give you a key card. And when you put the key card against the door, or when you insert the key card into a slot, the lock will buzz and a green light will come on and you can turn the handle and enter. Again, at a hotel, you'll get a key card like that one. It's what we would call a generic key card. It is programmed to open just your room. But at work, you might have an ID card that also works as a key card, where you can use that card to open doors as well. It really depends on where you work and what it does. My school ID is not a key card, but key card, a card that you can use to unlock a door. Fingerprint scanner. So I'm going to go over a few different scanners here. The fingerprint scanner, of course, scans your finger. I don't have my phone with me, but your phone has a fingerprint scanner. It might be on the back. It might be on the front. You just press right on the glass, and whatever device you are putting your finger on will scan your fingerprint, and it will have a database where it knows what your fingerprint looks like, and then it will allow you to enter. So similar to how a key card unlocks a door, a fingerprint scanner might unlock a door, or it might unlock your phone. I think you have to work at a fairly high security facility, like maybe you're doing advanced scientific research, before you would get a fingerprint scanner. If you just work in a store, they're not going to have a fingerprint scanner for employees, but scans your fingerprint and unlocks the door. And then, of course, retina scanner scans your eye. It scans the retina in your eye. So just as all of our fingerprints are unique to us, no one has the same fingerprint as I do. No one has the same retina pattern as I do. So you can use that for ID as well. Again, this would be used at some like government scientific research facility, or more likely you'll see these in movies when Tom Cruise has to get into some sort of building or something like that. There might be a retina scanner. And then lastly, facial recognition. We're all familiar with this because we might use that on our phone. Our phone can see our face, and then the phone unlocks because it recognizes who we are. So facial recognition, similar to retina scans and fingerprint scans and key cards, it's another way to unlock a door in order to get into a different area of a building or to get into the building. X-ray machine. So this is something mostly you'll see at an airport. If you have a carry-on bag, it needs to go through an X-ray machine. They need to see what's inside your bag so that they can ensure that the flight is safe and that people are safe as well when they are on the flight. So an X-ray machine, of course, uses X-rays to see inside of a bag like this one. So many of you have probably put your bag on a little, what do you call it? Conveyor belt, and it goes into a little machine, and that machine will take X-rays of whatever you send in, and then the security officers can see what's in your bag. A turnstile. So this is something, yeah, they're becoming more common when they want to control how fast people can move through an area. The most common place to see them for me would be in the subway in Toronto. You have to tap your card or your phone in order for the turnstile to allow you through. Now the turnstile has like 3 bars and they rotate as you go through. In some places, one of the malls close to me, when you enter, there's a turnstile, but you don't have to pay. I think they're simply using it to count how many people come into the mall. Yeah, this is a turnstile. It is basically a device to control how fast people can move from one area to another. It might also just be used to count people, or it can be used to charge people money to get into an area, a turnstile. A barrier. So there are many kinds of barriers. There's actually two in this picture. So you can see that they have portable fencing. So this is a metal barrier that you can just move with two people, and you can quickly set up fencing so people can't get in. There's also some caution tape, which is obviously not as good of a barrier, but it's also something used to prevent people from moving from one place to another. So when you are in one area and they set up a fence, that is a barrier, and that means they don't want you to go into the other area. And the tape would be the same, but let me put it this way. The portable fencing is more effective than the caution tape. That's what I will say. People can duck under caution tape. People can just break the caution tape. So it's not the best way to control people, but it is a visual barrier. A bouncer. I don't know why this one makes me laugh, but I'm not sure if you know what a bouncer is, but a bouncer is a person who usually works at a club or a bar, or I was going to say discotheque. We don't really use the word discotheque anymore, but if you go out to the club dancing with your friends, they will probably have a bouncer at the door that controls how many people can come in, and also will kick people out if they misbehave. So if you go to a bar and you start to misbehave, start to do things that just aren't appropriate for that place, maybe you've had too much alcohol, maybe you get into a fight, a guy like this will come and will throw you out. You'll get thrown out of whatever place you are in. Bouncers usually wear tight black t-shirts and usually have quite a few muscles. They're rather intimidating, and the fact that there is a bouncer will actually cause people to behave. So if there's no bouncer, people will just be they'll misbehave more. But if there is a bouncer, it will also prevent people from misbehaving. Surveillance. So surveillance is the general term we use to talk about when people are being observed using cameras or from afar. Basically, when someone is watching what you're doing, but you're not aware of them. So if you watch a TV show, the cops might have a surveillance van, and they might sit across the road from a criminal's apartment building and with their own eyes just watch. They might be sitting in a police car. Sorry, if they're in a surveillance van, they might have screens and TVs behind them that they use to watch what people are doing inside of a building or around a building. So let me use this phrase. Sorry, my nose is itchy this morning. I don't know why. Let me use this a couple of ways. The police use surveillance to figure out what the criminals were doing. So that would be a sentence. He was under surveillance. So that's how we would describe someone who is being watched. And then we also have what's called a surveillance society. So if your country has a lot of cameras, you might start to feel like there's too much surveillance. There's too many cameras watching what you do. Bag check, bag check, bag check. So there's two here. Let me explain why. Do they both fit? Yes. So bag check is the place at the airport where now you usually check your bag so it can go on the airplane. So in Toronto, when you go on a flight, you go up to a machine and it scans your ticket on your phone or if you have a paper one, and then it gives you a sticker to put on your bag, and you put your bag onto a conveyor belt and it goes through a little scanner to the plane. We call this the bag check. Okay. But you also go through a line and they x-ray your bag. And then there's also a bag check where a person might look in your bag. So let me explain again. When you put your suitcases onto this conveyor belt, it goes onto the airplane. That's your bag check. I need to check my bags. I need to get the sticker. I need to put the sticker on the handle. You can kind of see it on the handle of her bag. And then it goes off to the plane and it probably gets scanned. Then you go through security, and you might also experience a bag check, which is a little more intrusive, where someone actually opens your bag and looks inside of it and says, you can't take this on the plane, and then they confiscate it or discard it. So bag check is when you check your bags, and bag check is also when someone else checks your bag to see what is in it. A wand. So I mentioned earlier metal detector. They might also just wand you. So we do use this as a verb. When you go through a security checkpoint, they might use a wand to scan your body for any type of metal. I'm assuming the wand is also a metal detector. And so they're looking for, if you're carrying something that would be considered unsafe to have on a plane. So that is a wand. Hey, if you visit a place like a school and you are allowed to be there, you will most likely be given a visitor pass. A visitor pass is a type of ID card that allows you to be in a building for half a day or a day because you have permission to visit there. If Brent came to Canada during the school year, and if he came to my school, he would be given a visitor pass. I would vouch for Brent. Basically, I would say this person can be trusted. He is a teacher from Maine. I know him. And then the front office would give him a visitor pass for the day. And then he would be allowed to be in my building as long as he is with me. So basically I would need to escort him around the building. Maybe that's the wrong word. And the same would be true if I visited Brent. If I went to his school, both of us would probably have to let the school know in advance that we had a visitor coming, and we would have to go through proper procedure to get a visitor pass. It's not very easy to get a visitor pass to visit a school. Like stranger danger is the term. You don't want to just let anyone into a school, but if you were allowed to visit, you would get a visitor pass. Access code. This is the code that you must memorize and punch in order to get into a building, or maybe into a locker, or into something that has a panel like this on it. I forget what this is called. I'm having maybe someone in the chat can help me. You punch onto a pin pad. Sorry. So when I go to my place of work, there is a security system, and I need to know my code in order to get in. Every person who works somewhere that has a code will have a different code so that they know who entered the building and disarmed the security system at what time. So an access code, usually a 4 or 5 or 6 digit code. They keep getting longer, I think, because that's more secure, that you punch in order to gain entry to a building. Security desk, if you're at the mall, and this did happen to me, and you happen to find someone's driver's license laying on the ground, you would go and give it to the people at the security desk. Earlier in the lesson, I mentioned that I might just call this security. I might not even say desk. I might say, I found someone's driver's license on the ground when I was at the mall. I brought it to security, or I brought it to the security desk. So again, security desk would be a place, not just at a mall, but at any large event or venue. If you're at a stadium or a football stadium or something like that, there will be at some central location a security desk where there will be security officers who can help you. And then there might also be a restricted area. Restricted area, do not enter, authorized personnel only. If you do go to watch your favorite football team, there's an area of the stadium that you're not allowed to go in, but they are. You can't go in the locker rooms. That's a restricted area. Only the players and coaches and people who work at the stadium are allowed there. There are many restricted areas in many buildings. So when you go to the bank, you're not allowed to go into the basement and see the big safe where they keep all the money. That's a restricted area. So a restricted area is a place where employees and people who are allowed to go there are allowed to go there, but other people are not allowed to go there. A restricted area. It might be called a restricted zone as well, but a place where, behind the security desk, there's probably a restricted area. Like they probably have a few rooms and you're not allowed to go in there. And then there are things like this verb, to be pulled aside. So if you're going through security at the airport, they might pull you aside. They might take you to a small room because they might want to do some questioning. They might not pull you aside to a room. They might just say, could you come and stand here for a moment? And then you might go through questioning where they just ask you some questions. So again, at the airport or any other place where you need to go through security, they might say, you can just go. Like, okay, thank you, sir. You may go. Or they might ask you to just step aside. They might pull you aside to ask you a few questions. When we go to see a Blue Jays game, Jen often has a backpack. And so often they'll let me in, but they might pull Jen aside and want to look inside her backpack before she's allowed to enter. And then, yes, the general term would be for questioning. They just want to ask you some questions. So this guy, I think he's been pulled aside for some questioning. They just want to know what set off the metal detector, maybe, I'm not sure. And then just so you know, this is not an interrogation. When you're pulled aside for questioning, it simply means they want you to pause for a minute so they can ask you a few things. Interrogation is when you're arrested by the police and they put you in a room and then they try to figure out if you did the crime or not. And then two-factor authentication, or 2FA, is the short version. This is what everyone should be using for their bank accounts and other things they log into online. So what two-factor authentication means is you go to your banking website, you type in your username and password, and you hit enter. And then it says, thank you, please indicate on your phone or your watch that you are who you say you are. So there are two levels to getting into your bank account, your username and password. And then there's a second method of verification called two-factor, or the second verification. So two-factor authentication, or 2FA, just a way to be more secure when you are online, logging into email or banking or anything like that. If you do not use two-factor authentication, set it up. You'll be happy you did. It's awesome.